Trader Merlin Show. It is your Tuesday afternoon edition. Taco Tuesday for me. Trivia Tuesday as well. Hope you had a great trading session. From the accounts perspective, as you guys saw the trades I opened yesterday, not a good day for my positions, but I still have through Thursday to go. I did actually sell some more puts on Tesla today. And of course, if Elon Musk gets deported, as seems to be the talk track, I will be suffering on that one, but we shall see. So I'm going to do a shorter show today just because I have been in class all morning. I'm exhausted. My throat's going out, and I look like I just woke up. When I teach online, I'm like rubbing my head a lot, so I look like a mess. Anyway, the homeless Trader Merlin show today. I know I'm kind of joking, but not joking with that. I don't know if you caught that comment today, Big Ed, but President Trump was asked about Elon Musk, about deporting Elon Musk, and he says, we'll have to look into deporting Elon Musk. I'm like, what are you? You are crazy. Anyway, we'll talk about that in just a sec. So let's briefly get into this. Now, I really want to look at this quickly, and the big, beautiful bill is over 1,000 pages. The version I have is about 58 pages, of which I've gone through it as quickly as I possibly could. I got pages of notes over here trying to figure out, just at high level, what impact this has on me. Now, part of this is going to be a selfish, introspective look, because when I categorize this by good and bad, it's really, I did it how I see it impacting me, and maybe society as well. But, when these bills get passed, I think it's important to, not get upset about them or overjoyed, and just kind of step back and say, what really is going on with them, right? What's going on with it that's going to impact the markets, and how can I maybe seek some opportunity there? So, hope I don't hurt anybody's feelings today with the way that goes. Any chance you can boost your volume a tad? Did I have it loaded? Let me see. I will tell you my sound settings. It should be high. Let's see. Yeah, you're right. Thank you. I don't know what happens, but my computer dropped down to 40%. Thank you, Big Eb. Yeah, it was at 40% normal. Now it's at 100% where it should be. And the bizarre thing is, on my monitor over here, it shows normal level. So now it's better. Yeah, always let me know, guys, if there's any tech issues. No tax on overtime makes me wish I wasn't retired. Well, go back, Mama. You do have volume in on your end, but the problem, Tofi, is if you turn yours way up to accommodate my low volume, and then you go to something else, you could blow your eardrums. All right, so let me real quickly look at this, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. I know that every pundit in financial world right now is going to be talking about this in depth, but I real quickly want to go through as quickly as I can, just so I have an understanding for myself of where we stand with this big, beautiful bill. So, yes, it passed. It was a 50-50 tie, and of course, J.D. Vance did the tiebreaker. So there was by no means a significant win here. The bill got pushed through. On one hand, I look at this as it's a good thing that it's been pushed through, because then that one item of uncertainty is now over, right? We can now break apart the bill, see where it impacts us, the good and bad. I agree with you, Lisa. I think in a country we should not celebrate a 50-50 victory, right? That's not a victory. Yeah, but it's back to the House. More drama to come, no doubt about that. But major obstacle passed. So what is kind of in this thing that might impact us? So the good, well, it's tax relief for families and workers. And I think that families should get a little bit of an extra benefit here. I mean, obviously, it's hard to raise a family. And part of the bill says they're going to extend lower tax rates and double standard deductions from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Okay, great. So we'll continue on those tax cuts. That's fine. Now, keep in mind, when I'm reading this, I also want to make it a point to illustrate what this means for the government. So, permanently extends lower tax rates. Okay, that's fine. That means less money for the government. And double standard tax deductions from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. That means even less money for the government. So while we do this, just think of running tabulation. That's less money for the government that they're going to get. It temporarily boosts child's tax credit to $2,500 and introduces deductions for tips, overtime, car loan interest, and seniors. That's less money for the government. And I'm for that. I think tips should not be taxed. I think tips, absolutely not. Overtime, You mean you usually get paid a lot more for overtime, so that shit you're working, I think you should be, but whatever. Who cares? Those don't impact me. Enhances adoption credit and expands 529 plans for K through 12 and homeschooled expenses supporting education and family growth. How can you vote against supporting family growth and supporting education? I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay with those. So far, okay. None of this hits home and like just, oh, Merlin, I'm going to be impacted heavily by this. So this doesn't impact me, but, I'm a human. I certainly think that family should be supported here. And so far, it does that, at least from what I've read. Now, as far as supporting small businesses in rural America, it allows for 100% immediate expensing for new factories and production property from 2025 to 2034, encouraging manufacturing investment. Part of me says this is awesome because what this is going to do is bringing in a lot more businesses. You're basically saying, look, you're building new factories. Great. Do it here. We'll give you 100% immediate expensing. That's great. Again, less taxes for the government. Rolf says massive inflation. Potentially. I'll circle back to that, Rolf. Absolutely. I think that could be a big issue. But we'll get to that in a minute. So as far as support for small businesses in rural America, increases employer-provided child care credit up to $600,000 for small businesses and makes paid family leave permanent, aiding workers. Look, I'm happy for the people that get it, but this sucks for me. I don't get nothing out of this. I don't have any children. Can I get a dog credit? Health care for my German Shepherd who's ailing? Come on. Throw me a bone here. Give me a little something. It's like I got to go have kids just to take advantage of this so far. Anyway, raises gross receipts threshold for small manufacturers to $80 million, simplifying accounting and tax rules. No big deal. Health and financial security. Okay. This is where it gets kind of interesting. Expands health savings accounts, HSA, and choice agreements. Okay, that's fine. So you can actually save more pre-tax by HSA, which I think is a good thing. You should prepare for, future health issues. It creates MAGA accounts with $1,000 federal contributions for newborns between 2024 and 2028, promoting savings for education, businesses, or home ownership. Okay, but now the government's giving you $1,000 to have a kid. Less tax money for the government, right? Less money for the government. Extends rural emergency hospital designations, improves healthcare access and underserved areas. Okay, great. I think that's fine. So far, none of this is over the top wild. This is one where there was some question marks in my mind about how this could be used, but with regards to fraud prevention and fiscal responsibility, it says strengthens verification for premium tax credits and earned income tax credit, reducing improper payments. So they're focusing on taxes, Social Security numbers, making sure that if you're getting these deductions, you are a paying citizen, a legal citizen. So it's putting more pressure on undocumented illegals where they're going to start to not get some of the services that those of us who are legal are going to enjoy. All right, none of this impacts us really dramatically yet, other than, as Rolf says, from an inflation perspective. Says, I like this. But we talk so much about AI replacing jobs and displacing workers. This is specifically in the bill, and I thought that was interesting. It says, uses AI to recover Medicare overpayments, saving tax-paying dollars. So they're now going to implement AI systems to track Medicare payments, which means it'll be used to track taxes or any anomalies in income and spending. AI is going to be a big factor in our markets going forward. Last piece, limits tax benefits for illegal immigrants, ensuring benefits target legal residents. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I'm all for that. I think if you're a legal resident, you should get more benefits from living in the country that you pay the taxes in. But that is just me. Economic and national priorities. This is where it starts to get trading opportunities. The rest of this stuff, I don't see where we could look at the market and say, other than from a macro picture in moving the markets, that's going to have a big impact. As Rolf said there earlier, I don't know if massive inflation, but we certainly would see more likely inflation because what you get here now are the dollar's dropping. You're also getting citizens are going to have a lot more money in their cash, at least certain citizens, right? Those with families for sure are going to, lower income families are going to have a lot more money, and typically that gets spent out right away. So spending could increase, and of course that's what Trump wants to happen, because when you spend more money, you drive economic growth, that makes GDP look better, and then the economy looks better, and now all of a sudden you can boast that the economy is doing so well. So what about economic and national priorities? Here's where it starts to maybe get some opportunities for you and I. It phases out certain clean energy credits by 2031, redirecting focus to traditional economic growth sectors. Now, what's interesting is I not only did I read through it, but I actually threw it in AI and said, can you please explain to me what traditional economic growth sectors are? And there is no clear definition in the bill out of the 48 pages I got, 58 pages. And if you want, I'll even pass it into the chat here. It's one big, beautiful bill. Let's see. I'll drop in a chat in case you haven't seen it. You want to torture yourself and read this one later. Let's see if... Oh, it won't let me even drop it in here. Oh. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't drop that one in. But if you just type in big, beautiful bill.pdf, that's what I'm referencing here. It didn't say what traditional economic growth sectors are. However, Trump has been rather clear here, right? He said fossil fuels. So we're talking coal, we're talking oil, we're talking natural gas. Conveniently today, you saw natural gas take a little bit of a dip. Oil kind of holding. I can show you those charts here as we progress. Let's bring on, here's crude oil for the day. Crude oil, nothing special today. 50.52% gain, so 0.5% gain today, $65, but really just sitting in that little yellow box I've got mapped out there. Then look at UNG. UNG did drop pretty good today, but managed to stabilize above 15, which was my expectation. We're now at $15.13 on UNG. So phasing out clean energy credits, what that means is a lot of clean energy companies, as expected, are going to have credits. That could impact solar, that could impact Tesla, that could impact a lot of EV companies. And I think that might be why you saw such hostility between Trump and Elon Musk. Of course, going into this, Elon Musk knew this was going to happen. I don't quite get that part. But here's Tesla. So Tesla had a pretty big shot to the arm today. It dropped 5.34%. At one point, it was down a bit more than that. Let me map out exactly what we have here from a percentage loss today. At one point at the low, Tesla was down about 7.7%. So you guys know I sold the 305 strikes on Monday. I also sold the 280s today. So let me put some out there. So I've got two different levels here. And again, I'm not worried at all. I'm fine with holding Tesla at lower levels. But yeah, I sold some 280s out there today. Margaret says, I don't trust that this bill is good for America. Now, Margaret, let's be honest here. Let's not make this a Trump thing or a Biden thing. When have you looked at a bill by either political party and said, wow, this is really good for America? In my mind, I think it's generally interested for the parties that issue the bill. The fact that we had 50-50 split on this one is embarrassing. Like, if this is truly a bill that will benefit America in a good way, where we can all look at it and go, regardless of your political ties, look at it and go, this is actually a good thing for America, then this should be like an 85-90% approval. There'll always be some naysayers, but 50-50, it tells me that there's a lot more to this that I just don't know and I'm not seeing, right? That's just I'm kind of going through the high-level stuff. Yeah, Rolf, people are charged up to $40,000 to have a child in the hospital. It might even be more than that. $1,000 is laughable to have a child. Well, I guess it's better than nothing, right? A little credit helps when you can get it, but yeah, our medical system is in shambles. So, Tesla, Rivian might also face further downside move because of those tax credits, but we kind of knew that. We knew that 100%. Now, increases the debt limit by $4 trillion, providing flexibility to fund critical initiatives without intermediate fiscal constraints. I had this as a good. Now, this obviously is a double-edged sword here, because if you got $4 trillion that you could spend, well, that's economic growth. When you can stimulate something that much, yeah, that's economic growth. I taught a class on money management for some friends of mine, and I had them actually at my house in my living room. And it was like a multi-week thing where I taught for a couple hours and said, here's how money works, and here's credit, here's debt, here's income, expenses, liabilities, and here's how you grow your wealth and turn your situation into a positive one by understanding all the numbers that face you. And there's good debt and bad debt. So when I look at this number here that says $4 trillion, and it says raise the debt limit, My immediate question, as someone who is on top of their finances and very, very careful about what I buy, every now and again I splurge and buy some garbage I just don't need because, well, I wanted it, right? I have no problem with the government having an extra $5 trillion worth of spending, if this is good debt. So here's what good debt versus bad debt would look like. Bad debt would be going and buying yourself a Peloton with the annual or a monthly $99 subscription, using it for a month, and then letting it sit in your house as a coat rack for the next 5 years. And you're still paying every month even though you don't use it. That's bad debt. And taking out debt to buy the damn thing. Good debt would be, I'm putting a down payment on a house that I've done the research on. It's a decent price in a market that's been trending up price-wise. So I'm taking debt to leverage much bigger future gains. That's good debt. The question I have here is, will this $4 trillion be good debt or bad debt? And unfortunately, the only thing I can do to reference that is look at historical precedent. And that historical precedent says that the government does an absolutely horrible job of allocation of funds. So this is most likely bad debt. So it could easily turn into good. This could easily turn into good debt. However, you heard Trump say it the other day. He's like, well, you don't want to cut too much. You don't want to go too crazy. Yes, we actually do. You have to maintain this business. And the U.S. economy is a business. So I'm on the fence of that one. I like it because it does spur growth and spending. But boy, that's a lot of money. If you shine your shoes for $20 and you shine my shoes for $20, we just created $40. Well, yeah, well, I could just grab a rag and spit on my shoes for free. That's how I'd do them. Last one. It reduces excise tax on firearm silencers, exports, domestic production by limiting foreign tax entity credits. So I don't know about this one at all. I'm not going to go the Second Amendment discussion here with everybody. I'm pro-gun, but I'm also pro-responsible gun owner. But that one doesn't impact me. Now, what's the bad? Okay, the bad. In my opinion, the reduction of clean energy incentives is not good. It says it phases out clean vehicle, energy efficient home, and clean electricity credits by 2025 to 2031. There are certainly valid arguments that say that in some aspects, clean energy can actually be rather dirty, at least the production for windmills or things like that, or watching a diesel generator power a Tesla charging station. Well, what are we doing here? But phasing it out, I think, is kind of a problem. I think that we should continue to allow it and still focus on the other areas. This could hurt a lot of solar, a lot of EV companies here going forward. Once we get a better timeline on how this gets phased out, it may cause us to come back and look at things like NEO, like Rivian, or what other U.S. companies are manufacturing. And it really is going to come down to what are the distinctions for what vehicles don't get the credit anymore, and do any get the credit. So yeah, that one I think is kind of a bad piece here. Now, and I'm going to go back through and read all your credits, guys. I'm trying to blast through this as quickly as possible. Restricts credits for foreign entities, which would limit innovation in clean tech and affect industry reliant on global supply chains. Not quite sure personally the impact that this is going to have, but it says here, restricts credits for foreign entities, which could limit innovation. All right. May hinder progress towards climate goals. Of course, we know that's going to happen as clean energy and hydrogen production credits face cuts as well. So, hydrogen production, why not? Is that what that was dedicated to? The restriction on credits for foreign entities was China? I guess that makes sense. Increased debt burden. Raise the statutory debt limit by $4 trillion. We already talked about that. Not only do I think that this is going to ultimately be bad debt because it's going to be spent on garbage that doesn't produce and give you a rate of return, but it's also going to continue to drain the interest that we have. We're going to have to raise more and more debt to pay off the interest on an extra $4 trillion, and we're already struggling with that. So overall, I think that $4 trillion is really a bad thing unless, put Elon Musk in charge there and say he gets to allocate how that $4 trillion gets spent. I'd be probably okay with that and watching the improvements that might be made. But right now, that's what we got. And this is where the argument gets raised, which is, says critics may argue this prioritizes short-term spending over long-term fiscal sustainability. I think that this is the problem. I think it is going to be spent recklessly, and I don't think it's going to have a long-term goal in mind. Hendrick says the bill just sounds inflationary. I agree. It basically says the government's going to have a lot less money because they're giving all these different tax credits. So their income goes down. Their expenses go up by $4 trillion, and you need to raise more money to pay for that. So that is the definition of going bankrupt, where you have less income and more expenses, right? Your goal to grow your wealth, forget about the government, but for your personal world, your goal to grow your wealth is simple. Increase your income, reduce your expenses and liabilities, and then take whatever savings you have and grow that through compounding or savings that's beating the rate of inflation. That is a simple math equation to growing your wealth over time. And this, to me, is the exact opposite of that. The government's saying we're going to have less income because we're giving all these extra tax credits, okay, that was our platform we campaigned on, so less tax credits. Now, they might save a little bit on the clean energy tax credits, but let's be honest, a lot of people already have taken those, so no big deal. And now you have more debt that you have to pay interest on. $4 trillion, that's a lot of bonds you're going to have to sell to raise that. So, pushing that down, yeah. Mamon says, step number 1 to avoid bankruptcy, stop spending. Yeah, we'll cut it significantly, right? So this not a good thing, at least in my opinion. Now, here's where there were a couple interesting pieces that, at least from what I gleaned, I found interesting. It said, restricts premium tax credits on Medicare eligibility to specific legal residents, potentially leaving some vulnerable populations without health care support. Now, I wanted clarity on this. I'm pretty sure this means basically illegal. If you're illegal, you don't get access to Medicare eligibility and those premium tax credits. If you are, you'll still get them. Second part, which I thought was interesting, imposes a 5% excise tax on remittance transfers, which could burden low-income families sending money abroad, even with exemptions for U.S. citizens. Now, there is a lot of money that gets sent in remittance transfers every year, billions of dollars. Now, 5%, that is now bringing a little bit of extra income. However, these people are very savvy. It's not like they're just going to go, oh, well, we'll just keep doing it. There are ways that I can take my money, send it internationally now without the traditional channels of, Washington Mutual or going through banks to send it internationally. I can use cryptocurrency and digital assets for that. So we shall see how that plays into some of the decision making by the legislature and by the executive branch of our government with regards to cryptocurrency and digital assets. Do they censor transactions now not to be made internationally? What type of things can they say there? All right. My shirt's triggering you. I'm getting ready for the season. Come on, Niners. This is the most boring time of year for sports, guys. I'm so bored. I got baseball. And yeah, the Giants are doing fairly decent, but it's baseball and I'm just kind of bored. Here's another one. Social Security number requirements for education with child tax credits may exclude some eligible taxpayers with non-Social Security taxpayer IDs. Great. You don't have a Social Security number, you shouldn't get access to the same services. Still there. Potential economic inequities. Tax relief, example, tips, overtime, car loans, deductions is temporary, and income is capped, limiting benefits for higher earners and long-term planners. So realistically, what this means for me is nothing. Here's the only thing that might benefit me. The one thing that benefits me from a tax perspective, and that is the state and local tax cap increases to $30,000 per couple, per married couple. So $15,000 individual, benefits wealthier taxpayers, but phases out for higher earners, potentially seen as unfair to middle-income households. So I want to see what that cap is, but yeah. Not anything about treating people morally. Nope, not in this one. No. And lastly, corporate charitable deductions floor of 1% of taxable income. I saw it, but I don't quite understand that piece. So, in looking at all this, it doesn't seem as bad as it's been made out to be. It doesn't villainize it, although I was hearing all kinds of crazy things were being put into it. So I was hoping to get a copy on the full version, the 1,000-page version, having AI break it down for me specifically to see what provisions are in line with the conspiracy theorists that I've been hearing and where it might be in that bill. Because 1,000 pages, honestly, is a very large document. And this stuff is kind of truncated and paraphrased down. This is a billionaire's wish list. I think it's certainly in line with President Trump, which is, you've done a lot to irritate the base, if you will, and this will make a lot of people happy on the low end of the income spectrum by giving children support. It'll also help bring manufacturing back to the U.S. So with that, I'm okay. You're incentivizing manufacturing in the U.S., which is great up front, but that comes at a cost. And that's all money that historically the government had been collecting. Now all of a sudden you're saying, no, you guys can have that. It's just going to put us in a deeper hole from a debt perspective. And we're already skyrocketing. This whole feud with President Trump and Elon Musk escalated over this bill. What did he call it? He called it some horrible name. And he stands by it that this is atrocious. And what was interesting is Elon Musk tweeted out the other day that if this bill passes, the 80% of Americans that disagree with the two parties, at least the polarized sides of the parties, will start their own party, the American Party. And I would not be surprised to see something like that happen here in the near future, because I'm not happy with either side. I'm tired of the bickering, and I'm tired of the finger pointing and not getting things done for the sake of their own party and their own self-interest. They could easily have come to some amendment in this big, beautiful bill that benefits all of us, but we didn't get that, unfortunately. Which AI will you use to break it down? I'm going to try it with two different things, PB. I'll try it with my ChatGPT. I'll try it with Grok. Those are the two I'll use. Never say you didn't see national bankruptcy coming. Well, Rolf, I've been saying this for years, like literally decades, because it's just been consistently just going up and up and up and up and up and up. Any idea what would have happened with our debt if it come out? No, I have no idea. No idea, never even hypothesized. Honestly, I didn't think that she was going to win. I didn't think that there was even a chance there. But Congress should be required to present a balanced budget. That should be their obligation. If Jerome Powell's responsibility, if his dual mandate is full employment and stable pricing, I agree with you, Lori. The Senate or Congress, both houses, your job is to give us a balanced budget. If you can't do that, you failed at your job, and you should be replaced. You should be removed from office if you cannot produce a balanced budget. There's nothing like that. These guys have blank checkbooks. They can do anything they want. It's really, really frustrating going forward. Anyway, that's the big, beautiful bill. We'll see what the progress is here going forward, and more details on other pieces of this, but it's certainly a drama and soap opera. Bottom line to me, it just means more debt. More and more and more debt. Ugh, terrible. Now, I'm going to shift from that to, obviously, what can we say about that? It's most likely, from a probability perspective, going to give us an inflationary environment, meaning we're going to see prices go up. We're going to see the Fed at some point, not now, but probably next year, scramble and undo the cuts that they've made. They're probably going to do cuts in September. Jerome Powell even said today that if it wasn't for these tariffs, he would have cut sooner. Thought that was interesting. So let's go to the Fed funds futures here and bring that up real quick just to see if the numbers have shifted. But I'm in the camp of September. Oh, it's shifting pretty good. It's definitely shifting. Right now, there is a 78% chance that the July meeting stays the same. Only a 21% chance of a cut, but that was all like 18 a couple days ago. September, though, is a 73% chance of a 25 basis point cut. And I think that is right. Wait one more, because if we get really bad unemployment numbers on Thursday, which is what we have coming out, and we get the next core PCE price index numbers look pretty bad, or CPI and PPI, then he can hold again. But if those numbers come out okay, then I think he's got the roadmap here to at least one rate cut in September. By the end of the year, they're already pricing in 2 to 3, which I think is most likely going to be 2, but we'll wait and see. Sorry, I'm just kind of reading back through. So you guys have been chatty. I do my best on the show not to roll in politics because it polarizes people, and some people get super mad if you say one thing, and other people get super happy if you say another. So this really isn't about politics. It's more about this bill is coming. What do we do with it? And I agree with Rolf there. I I do think that you're going to see more inflation rear back. I don't know whether that happens near the tail end of the year. Once this all gets solidified, is it the tail end of the year? Is it mid next year that we start to see that more and more spending? I'm not sure on when that starts to come. But as far as a default goes, I think it's an inevitability. If you can't fix the situation of overspending and under-earning, then you're guaranteed to go bankrupt or devalue your currency so much that you piss off the rest of the world because they hold your debt. At some point, it's bound to happen. And I don't know when it's going to happen, but I agree, Rolf. I think you're correct. But I've also been saying that for at least a decade, just watching the debt get higher and higher and higher. And knowing how I run my personal finances, I would be so embarrassed with myself if I was in that situation, just laden with debt. Stop spending. Earn more money or stop spending. And really what this bill is doing is saying, we're going to earn less money and spend more. They're literally doing the opposite of what you do to become successful and grow your wealth, which would be you tax more. Of course, that's not what the Republican Party generally does, but you tax more to raise more income, and you spend less. Then you have a surplus at some point, and then things would be honky-dory. But no, we're not there. Yeah, definitely, Rob. I think you definitely have to wait some more. I mean, this just went through this morning. Ultimately, there's going to be some more clarity to it. We'll get much greater detail about what the actual numbers are, details. And, I am not the best analyst in the world. It's not my goal to be a good analyst. I just want to be a trader and make money off these markets, whether they go up, down, or sideways. That's really my goal. When I was in my early 20s, I would get really upset about politics, and it just frustrated me. I just know that I'm going to be frustrated either way. We'll never be perfectly happy with these bills that come through. So I'll step back and say, all right, it is what it is. I don't agree with it all. I don't disagree with it all either. But what difference am I going to make? My job is just to try to stick to my formula, which is increase my income, decrease my expenses, invest the difference, and grow your wealth. Rinse, wash, and repeat. We also have to see what the House does with the bill now. Correct. Yeah, and I can't imagine that's going to go smoothly. If you're a 50-50 bill, no way. No way. We got more problems ahead. So let's talk about the other piece that popped up. Big Gab mentioned at the very beginning here. As I mentioned, I wanted to do a shorter show today. So I thought this was great. President Trump said that he'd be looking into potentially deporting Elon Musk. Now, this is absolutely ridiculous. However, I think that's part of the reason. It was two things why I think you saw Tesla tank today, right? Had that big gap down of over 5% by the end of the day. Part of it is the threat of deportation, but mainly it's really the tax credit piece disappearing for Tesla. But I think that their car business is so mature, the tax credit I don't think is going to be that big of a deal. Remember, my big reason why I like Tesla so much is not retail car sales. It's Optimus and it's robotaxi, right? If you can get that fleet of robotaxis produced efficiently at scale, and whether you do them, you control everything, or you sell fleet. People buy fleets personally, like an Avis has their own, or Hertz has their own fleet of Teslas. That's would just dominate this marketplace, and I think that's huge money down the road because they control the AI that runs those darn things. And then I think you have Optimus coming out here soon. The amount of upgrades and improvements that Optimus makes year over year should leave all of our jaws floored. Remember the first year, just a couple years back, I think it was 2022, they had a professional dancer come out in a white suit and pretend she was a robot and do cartwheels and stuff. I felt like that was such an embarrassment. Like, are you kidding? It's not even a robot. The next year they had a robot and it walked around on stage. Looked clunky, kind of clunky. Now they've got these things breakdancing just 3 years later. Does that mean that next year we have a fully functioning Impact sold at Walmart type of model or Tesla right out the retail stores? I think so. Big Ep says Trump is having Doge investigate Elon's subsidiaries. Oh boy, great. Here we go. Midterm elections will be interesting. I think they're always interesting. I mean, it's such a soap opera right now. Such a soap opera. Let's see. What else have I got? I wonder if Trump will last all the way to the end of his term. 3 years? What's he, 80? Didn't he just turn 80? Was it 79 or 80? How old's Trump? Oh, Rolf beat me to it. 79. Yeah, I mean, For a 79-year-old, you got to admit, he's doing pretty good. He's doing pretty good bouncing around. All right, let me run through our top 8 markets, and I'm going to wrap up here because I am absolutely gassed, and I'm sure my German Shepherd is like, Dad, can we please go to the dog park? And I'm going to have to go lay down for at least 20 minutes for that one. I'm toast. Bitcoin, not looking good today at all. And we've been respecting that downward trend line. I was really hoping as we rolled into last night or this morning's session late last night, I was really kind of feeling like we'd pop against it. We actually had a green candle that was out above this downward trend line. And then today just kind of gave it back. So we're not looking so great on Bitcoin's price chart, down 2.3%. Still at 105. At least at this point, let's stay above 100. If we get below 100,000, I think there might be some problems. But it's funny, a friend of mine messaged me wee hours in the morning, are we going to have a rocket to the upside? I said, well, at some point I think we will. It just, you got to respect what trends do. And at this point, we've got this trend slowly down to the sideways, down and sideways. Kind of a bull flag formation here. If we get that bull flag formation, I think you're looking at 145 by August on Bitcoin, but we're just not there yet. NASDAQ taking a little bit of a drubbing. Of course, that was because of the Magnificent 7. It was down 0.88%, but honestly, who cares? The chart of the NASDAQ is so incredible. From the lows we saw just last Monday on June 23rd to our highs we established yesterday, you're talking over 6.3% in 5 trading sessions. A pullback is most definitely due. Rob says, still correcting in demand zone below. Well, I think that you're probably going to get a retest of the breakout of all-time highs for the NASDAQ, which would be 22,412 on the NASDAQ 100. Now, moving on up. Dollar index. Nothing's changed here. The trend is your friend, or the bend at the end. That dollar keeps dropping. And I do think that the big, beautiful bill will actually push that dollar down even more, because I think it's going to be an erosion of confidence in the U.S., not just because of the bill itself, but the fact that you got a 50-50 bill. People are like, well, that's not good. There's no confidence there. S&P 500 was your 5th place finisher. You had a small spinning top on the S&P today. Let me zoom in on this bad boy. I know I'm going to be adjusting this quite a bit. But what do? This is very, very simple for anyone who's trying to figure out what the heck to do for tomorrow. I'm going to do one minor adjustment over what I would normally do. All right? Normally I would take it from the high and low of today, but you notice that yesterday's high was slightly higher than today's. So that's your zone. So your zone for the S&P, now that we're dead center of it, we're right in the middle of it, would be if it breaks above 6,265.5, go long. Breaks below 6,227.25, go short. All right? Very easy. Do I ever look at SPX or M2SL? I look at SPX quite a bit. I mean, SPX is, I just have it down here in the indexes. So yeah, we could look at that as well. That changes things ever so slightly if we're going to do it from that perspective. But I just know most people in here are trading the futures, so that's where I'm going with. But that's what it would look like on the SPX. SPX would be between 62.15 and 61.74. All right, so you got about a 39-point range. All right, there we go. Moving on up from the S&P, you've got the 10-year yield, which had huge swings today, but ultimately remained relatively unchanged, so not that big of a deal. Crude oil had a nice little bounce. Again, I've got I have puts on USO at 71, and if crude oil stays right here, which I think it will, or slightly rise up, I think we're good. But that was your 3rd place at 0.52%. Russell 2000. 1% gain. I'm rounding up to 1% gain. It's so funny because you look at this chart, it looks like a nice breakout to all-time highs, but it's not even close to all-time highs. We got a long way to go, but it was a nice little breakout, especially after these 2 days of hesitation. Number 1 victor for today? Well, in times of uncertainty and inflation, you run to the GOLD. Gold. You had a 1.27% gain for gold. 3,349 was your number there for gold. Not near all-time highs. Still got a ways to go to get there, but all in all, that was your best performer. Now, why do we see such pain? Well, Tesla was down 5.3%, Nvidia down 2.9%, Meta down 2.5%, Microsoft down 1%, Google down 0.25%, and then, Amazon. I guess all it takes is Jeff Bezos to have a $50 million wedding, and their stock goes up by $1 per share. Wonderful. 0.49% gain for Amazon, and the big victor has been the sleeper for the past few months, showing some strength over the last week and a half, and that is Apple, 1.29% move to the upside. All right. What's the inverse relationship between health insurance companies and inflation? Well, I guess one of the main things is you're not going to spend less money on healthcare in hard times. You need healthcare, you're going to pay it. Period. I think that's one of the main reasons. All right. True love for Bezos, not his cash reserves. Oof. I don't know. That relationship looks so fake, so manufactured. I mean, she's got more silicone than a Blackwell chip. I mean, yeah. Anyway, don't get me started. Right, Rob, it says Apple lagging behind, finally bounced up. Yeah, finally had a little bit of a rally. And I've been saying it for a long time, stay out of Apple. That may have changed because if you're playing this downtrend, well, this is not the downtrend line. Let me draw a line here that goes through the peaks of Apple. And this is kind of tough because there's really only 2 points. We don't have confirmation of a third point. Pretty bad. That doesn't help you with regards to trend line. However, I am playing the perspective of overall. It's had a lower highs and lower lows. Right here, as of this high, as of actually today, turning that corner from this kind of consolidation back in early June, you now are broken above that. So that's a pretty positive sign of a change of trajectory in Apple. So maybe this is that time where Apple is actually on that buy screen for you. Not for me, because I can't trade Apple. Les says it's kind of a shooting star, and it is, right? It's a bit green, but yeah, ideally that is a shooting star. And if you are bearish on this one, what do? Pretty simple. Put a line across the bottom for today and short it if it drops below 206.14. But right now the trend feels pretty good for Apple, at least since those lows on June 18th. The real challenge here is going to be that high at 212, call it 213 on Apple. If it gets above that, you're going to close this gap and that'll be off to the races. If I want to play with some... They are crazy. They are absolutely crazy. It's funny because somebody did a video. There's some, what did he start? This guy started a company. Oh, what company was it? Some big company that got sold for billions of dollars. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's got like dual yachts outside of Newport Harbor. And one of them is like a $200 million yacht. And then it's got like a what do they call it? A support ship that falls around. It's worth $50 million. And this boat has jet skis, a ski boat, helicopter, you name all the possible toys you could possibly imagine. It's literally just sitting out there. Your streaming is breaking up here in South Lake Tahoe. Well, sorry. Jimmy's in South Lake, huh? I love it up there. I was so close to buying a place in South Lake Tahoe on the Nevada side for the tax purposes, of course. Okay. Look, nothing else is coming out tomorrow. There's nothing, at least on the the earnings front, there's nobody reporting this week that is really noteworthy. So let me go into, Constellation Brands reported after hours today, and they were down. They did not do well. But let's look at your economic calendar for Wednesday as we get really close. Volume is going to be exceptionally light tomorrow, folks. Very, very light. Now, we do have the ADP non-farm employment change numbers coming out tomorrow at 8:15. That is an hour and 15 minutes before the markets open. So be careful for that one. Other than that, it's all about Thursday, but I'll talk about that on tomorrow's show. There's really nothing else that's that important coming out from the market perspective. So that's going to do it for me for today, everybody. Is this the shortest show I've done in a while? 44 minutes? I think it is. We got a short one going today. Anyway, hope you had a fantastic remainder of your day. I will, any confirmations on MicroStrategy getting into S&P? Nope. I did, as I mentioned today, I sold the 280 strikes on MicroStrategy. That's the only trade I made today. I'm trying to think if I didn't make anything else. No, that's it. Just the one on MicroStrategy. But I didn't look and see if MicroStrategy was good. Lauren Sanchez looks better than Lauren Bezos. Okay, good. All right, there you go. All right, cool. That's going to do it for me, everybody. Sorry to bolt on you, but I'm absolutely gassed. I'm trying to keep my energy up for you and sound good. So thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed today's show. If you got something you want me to discuss on tomorrow's show, it'll be the last show of the week, guys. P. Diddy comments. No, I got no love for the guy. No, I got zero comments on P. Diddy. I wish that people like him would slowly just disappear from society. You know, I wish that him and that Kim Kardashian, the whole Kardashian family, and Kanye West and P. Diddy would just kind of just disappear from society. Just leave good people alone and quit manipulating people with your propaganda garbage. All right. Thanks, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. Again, if you want me to talk about something specific, tradermerlin@gmail.com or leave it down below any of the YouTube videos. I will be well rested tomorrow, and I will see you then. Take care, everyone.